Hey everybody, I wanted to get some questions, well, I wanted to ask y'all some questions, so that's why I was going live instead of just making a video, I was hoping that maybe somebody would be on here. They could answer some questions for me, and if not, if you're watching this later, then please comment any answers or questions you may have in the comments, and I can still get them that way. So, anyhow, this will be less formal. I am working on just because so many people do ask me spinning questions, I'm working on a spinning course, and it's kind of taking on a life of its own. And so I'm trying to figure out if it would be more useful to more people. Like, do y'all want like a really like I just got a spinning wheel and I don't really know what I'm doing. Right now, it's basically like me. Oh, hey, hi Laura, Lana. Hi Lana, thank you. But yeah, no. So I'm wondering, like, do people want more of like a I've never spun before, um, video course. I'm sorry, I just finished doing tax paperwork. My brain is not working. So that sort of thing. Or if there's like specific, if everybody's kind of more advanced. I was kind of starting out with the idea of something just like really take you from you've never spun before, there's homework involved. I really want to work on like basic skills. The idea is that you could design what type of yarn you wanted, because that seems to be what everybody has questions with is what, like, I want this type of yarn, how do I end up with that type of yarn, instead of just kind of like what you end up with. Basics sound good. Okay, good. So, and I just did I'm active on the Facebook groups and everything a lot, and I think I've linked my Facebook group on here, and then I'd posted in some other like spinners, like beginning spinners group and spinners study. It's a good group. There's a beginning weavers group, and here I'm gonna try to move the camera so I can do things. Okay. But yeah, sorry, I'm never good with cameras. The question everybody kept I did like a poll on like what is your troubleshooting, or like what aggravates you the most if you're spinning. And I wrote it down and then I left it upstairs. What the answer I was getting the most was like tension issues, and they kept saying a well balanced single ply, I guess, so that it would either look pretty to be used by itself, or look really even when plied. And I am admittedly not the world's biggest perfectionist. This is a single ply, and of course there's light. This is a single ply that I have, just like this was some leftover yarn. So, I mean, this is what I consider a well-balanced single ply. So, I mean, it doesn't do anything curly or weird. I didn't want to be, I mean, I'm totally self-taught. So, I mean, my fear is always that people, I'm going to make something to try to help people, and that, it's people are going to think it's like not official enough or not perfect enough or something that way. And so that's why I was showing that. That's to me what I would consider a well balanced, like worsted or DK weight single. So here it is again. And it's merino. It was pre-drafted merino. So I mean that's, in my opinion, well balanced. And I knit with singles all the time. Okay, good. Like I said, it's a fear of mine, is I don't want to, try to help everybody and then have people take it and be like, oh my God, her stuff is not nearly as perfect as, like I would want it to be, or those aren't my expectations. So I just was trying to okay, so that would be a well balanced single. I can help you with that. As far as my opinion on getting a well balanced single, I think it depends on what the fiber is. Like I said, that one was from Merino Roving, which this is a little tiny piece of it that I would pre-draft. And okay, looks good now. Okay, good. Like I said, I really have a phobia of that. That's like my big weird fear, is that I'm gonna make this and then everybody's gonna send me hate emails on like, oh, your stuff's not perfect enough. Why did you think you could teach anybody? So that's what this is about. But yeah, so to get that, you would pre-draft the merino. And like I said, that's one thing, and I'm talking about in this course, that I like the merino for when you're learning, is because the merino braids, this was all part of like a big braid, is because you can do, and this is just a tiny little bit, the pre-drafting. And so by doing that, if you're not trying to spin, it's easier to get a well-balanced single from like a little pre-drafted bit, because then you're only having to, you're not having to take it from like a big blob to like something tiny. It's already kind of halfway there. So I'm very into pre-drafting the merino braids instead of trying, because when I first started, like I would get a chunk like this big, and then I'd be trying to pre-draft, or not pre-draft, I'd be trying to like spin from this, and that's where you end up with that bumpy like poof and little. And so coincidentally, if you're trying to do that with the thick and thin yarn, that's exactly what I do. So it's kind of like what you wouldn't want to do. You would get a bigger chunk. This would actually be perfect for my thick and thin yarn, where you start out with a big chunk and then you'd let the twist get into a large amount and then you'd pull it out little, and that's where you end up with that like thick, thin, thick, thin. But if you don't want that, if you want something more like this, then starting out with pre-drafted ribbons where you're just spinning like this part and then you connect, basically you're connecting the ribbons to each other as you're spinning them. So, okay, that was, like I said, the number one concern everybody seemed to have. The second concern everybody seemed to have was kind of like what to do with handspun, which I've never thought that was a problem for me. I do everything with handspun I would do with regular pretty much, but I don't knit with like sock weight yarn. That's not my life right now. So maybe, if I was knitting something like super duper tiny, I would definitely probably just go buy some sock weight yarn because that would be easier. But as far as like knitting, oh, and I left it over here, what to make with handspun yarn. I actually have a whole section on my website with like some patterns that I think are good for handspun yarn, as well as just kind of like general tips, I guess. This is something, hold on, let's see. And it's all not blocked out, of course, right now. But this is something I'm knitting on. It's going to be a shawl that's handspun yarn. And I mean, here. I mean, it's a gradient. It's handspun. But it's a 2-ply. Oh, hold on, the thing. Start out on a spindle, always pre-drafted, making socks in a minute at the minute. Oh, yeah, no, definitely. That's why it looks all funny. It's on a circular needle. Like, those are the best. But, I mean, it looks really, like I said, it's handspun. It's a little bit different than a regular one would be, but, I mean, I think you'd make anything. You just have to get the yardage and the size right. But I think my kids are here, so I probably have to go be a good mom and make lunch now. But thank you, y'all. The input has been good. If you're watching this video later, like I said, please comment below, like I said, kind of where your experience level is. If you want any help with spinning, like what your problems would be. Thank you. But I have to go. The kids are home. So y'all, like I said, if you're seeing this later, questions and comments below would be much appreciated. Thank you, thank you.